All right. Come on in. 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 Let's talk about it. Happy Tuesday to everybody, man. Look, it is the first practice after spring break, and we are here with Kendall, the one and only Kendall. I'll say that. We got a lot of positive feedback, man. Kendall, what is the word?
Another day, man. They're back out there from spring break. It was refreshing to be back out there, see them hit the ground running. It's a warm day. I mean, anytime we get SC football back, that's always a good day.
Man, absolutely, man. Let's jump right into it. uh, Lincoln Riley addressed some things. He already addressed it. Me here personally, I
Mhm.
try to stay to the policy, even though I'm not credential. And if he doesn't want to talk about injuries, I won't talk about it. But the fact that he did talk about it today, I will
Mhm.
address it. So let's get into that first. Who's back, and then who won't be back due to injury. I kind of briefly brought it up, with Waymo, but let's get into that real quick. Some of the
Mhm.
things that you heard today.
Yeah. So Wayman Jordan, Coach Riley revealed that he went under another, he said, like a cleanup on his ankle. So it's still that
Right.
same ankle that cost him the rest of the season after the Michigan game. So he's not going to be out here for the spring. He really hasn't practiced. He's done. I think he did a little bit of individual drills. I think he was catching some passes that week that they went into spring break. But as far as
Yeah.
everything else that we've seen, he really hasn't partaken in anything else. So he's not going to be available the rest of the spring. He'll be back in the summer.
Right.
Not really concerning due to the fact that it is March, right?
Right.
So I'm going to totally overreact to that. And USC typically has been cautious as far as like bringing guys along and doing what's best for them. So they're doing that with Wayman. So I'm not going to overly stress about that. Kaden Dixon Wyatt has a little bit of a soft tissue issue,
Yeah, I
soft
heard that today. Yeah.
tissue injury. Again, not concerned. Riley said he's expecting him back shortly. So if not this week, then next week. So we expect to see him again at some point in the spring. And he's had a really, really good camp. So obviously, want to get him back in there. Tucker Ashcraft is a Wisconsin tight end
Yeah.
transfer. He's out for the rest of spring. He's in a boot, not in a boot. I mean, he has a scooter. He underwent a foot surgery. Riley, the way he described it is that they were expecting that to happen at some point.
Right.
They were just happy that they got him in for a couple of weeks, and again, just not going to play again this the second half. And then Walter Matthews is also in a scooter, so that's another tight end that's also going to be out for the rest of spring. So again, the big thing is that it's March. So right, we don't want to overreact to any of these kind of injuries, right? It's not like it's week 4, week 5, kind of concerning about what it's going to look like. And I think the good thing right now is that they have depth, especially at tight end. It's not a ton of proven production, but they do have some guys. Um, Obviously, Nella's there, Bowman's there, um, uh, Carson's there. I mean, there's names, right? There's guys that are available for them and stuff like that. Same at running back. They don't have a ton of running backs. Rideau is dealing with a little bit of an issue. I don't know his full extent, so I'm not going to dive too deep into him. And then defensive side of the ball, if you want to do some positive injury updates, Jakeem Stewart was out there
Well,
today.
yeah. Right.
He
Right.
hasn't,
Right.
he
Right.
hasn't practiced. His situation was he had the stress fracture. So we all saw the image come up before that Missouri State game, right?
Right.
It's like why is he in a boot? And that kind of we later found out that he had a stress fracture in his foot the whole year, which it's remarkable that he even the whole season and was a freshman All American playing with that injury. That just speaks to his toughness. But he was a guy that was really, really limited throughout the weeks during the season. So a lot of Tuesdays he didn't practice. He had that boot on kind of throughout the season. Wednesdays was kind of him back up. And then obviously he didn't play in the bowl game, and they've been kind of rehabbing him through the spring. Um, Really, really good player. We all seen what and stuff like that, what we think he become, especially after not playing that last year. I mean, it's been 2 years since he played a live game when he came in for USC. So it's good that he's back out there now. They'll start to ramp him up a little bit more over these next couple of weeks, and expect to have that sophomore season that we're expecting.
No doubt. So speaking of our tight end room,
Mm-hmm.
would you consider it now? Because Walter Matthews is out,
Yeah.
um, and you mentioned Tucker Ashcroft. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
that leaves us. Of course, we have Bowman, we have Josiah Jefferson,
Yeah.
Ta- Carson Tabarachi, and Neil Tapo. We
Yeah.
have those four. So would you consider that somewhat of a thin room, or just another opportunity for these guys and let the other guys heal up?
A little bit of both, right? I mean, there's not a ton of experience there, right? We expect Bowman to be the starter, and obviously Bowman's a true freshman. Josiah Jefferson, we expect. I mean, these guys, we'll see how the tight end room shakes up. But there's a number of guys that can contribute. There's just not a lot of experience there, which that's what spring is for. To kind of get get your rapport with Jaden Maiava, get him going. So I'm not gonna overreact to it too much. Obviously, you would like to have somebody, especially like Ashcraft, in there practicing,
Right.
because he is somebody that is gonna have a role for them. So I'm not gonna totally overreact to that. It just means more reps for the other guys. It's just a chance for other guys to step up, and that's just the way I look at it.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, Coach Riley did mention some of the guys that stood out, and we kind of last time you were on here, we kind of did talk about it. We mentioned, of course, I'm high on Trent Mosley.
Yep.
I kind of heard that name again, but he kind of mentioned some other names too. I think it was Luke Weaver. He might have mentioned. He even
Mm-hmm.
mentioned Ramiro Ison, man. Like, what are your thoughts on? Because a lot of people not even talking about Ramiro Ison like that. I kind of mentioned him a couple times on this show because he is an explosive guy. Like, what are your thoughts on some of the guys that he mentioned today?
Ison, man, dude, I'll tell you this. He's got a fan in me for life. I don't know if you saw some of the comments that he made today, just for people that haven't.
Right,
Just to kind of break it down. Obviously, he didn't play a lot. I mean, he played one game last year. He got a little bit of I think it run in one game.
right,
But USC brings in, right. They bring in 6 receivers in the recruiting class that we saw, and then Terrell Anderson, who Riley also mentioned today as a transfer guy. And then he was asked today about not necessarily playing a lot last year and trying to grow from that. And he said, I didn't play because of me. I looked at it as
right,
a chance for me to get better. And that's what I want to do. He's like, I want to play
right.
at USC. This is where I want to be. So I'm going to keep working to make that happen. And I love that. You don't see that. That just doesn't happen anymore, especially in this era of college football, right? Especially you're looking at his situation. The first thing that you see in that situation is guys like, I'm a transfer, right? I'm going to go find somewhere else. I'll find somewhere else where I can play.
Right.
Like, no, this is where I want to play. I want to get better. I'm not looking at what everybody else did. I got to look at what I didn't do, right? So that's his focus this year, and he's doing a great job. Heard some good things about him, so I'm excited for him. And again, he's got a fan of me for life for that statement.
Oh yeah,
I love that mentality. It's just so rare nowadays. And
most
then
definitely.
and then just these other receivers, right? Weaver was somebody that Riley brought up early in camp. He's like, when I look at him, it's like I guess like a slightly shorter version of Jacoby, as far as like he's got a rare blend of size and speed. He's faster than people would think. That was the same thing with
Right,
Jacoby when he
right.
ran like 40. He's obviously got good size. So I'm looking for him, and especially, I mean, if he doesn't have a spot in the rotation, he's definitely going to play on special teams. He could have that like Corey Sims kind of role, right, where he's doesn't really play on offense, but he's got the mentality, he's got the work ethic, and those are guys that you find a role for on special teams. So I do look at him to have that. Mosley's going to play a lot. KDW is going to play a lot. Tron is an underrated guy. Just they have 6 receivers, so some guys are going to fall under the radar. Tron
Right,
kind of
right,
into that category a little bit. They got a good thing going at receiver. Again, it's you don't love that Tanuka is out, right? Because he is going to be your number 1 receiver, but he
right.
has a strong rapport with Maeva. We saw at the end of the year, and it just gives you more opportunities to get reps with these young guys. Because I think that's really going to determine a lot of this season is
Yeah,
what is Maeva's rapport with the young receivers. There's not a doubt that there's talent in the room. There's obviously from even guys returning, like whether it's Corey Sims or Zacharias Williams, and then the freshmen that are coming in, Mosley, Feaster will be here in the summer. Same with Roderick. Like they got guys. That's not the issue. It's
yeah.
dealing with those guys, getting the timing down, which is obviously different when you're in college. Speaking of just the freshman receivers, so if they can get that really at a good point this spring, they'll work on it throughout the summer into the fall camp, then they can get rolling. So it's good that it's not good that he's not playing, but it does give some guys some other opportunities.
No doubt. So a couple of things. Just get into what you were kind of mentioning about Jada Mayava and just getting the chemistry down. From a chemistry standpoint and what you've
Mhm.
seen in the drills, now we really won't know until game time, real game time film is out and game time situations. But from a chemistry aspect and timing, from what you see, like how are some of these guys, Jada Mayava linking up with these guys now? Does it look like from a chemistry standpoint they're coming together?
It's hard to say, right? Because we're really just watching routes on air. That's really just all
Yeah,
we're watching on the media, just running. They're not going against any defense, but just from like, I guess, just a physical standpoint, like
yeah.
Terrell Anderson looks really, really good. And again, Riley brought him up today.
Right,
He's a
right.
smooth guy. I think you can some guys on air. And that was the same thing when I watched Makai last year in fall camp. it was like just the way that he was doing it. It was so easy to tell that he was going to have this kind
So
of
you can
season.
see the experience with Terrell Anderson compared to some of the freshman guys in.
It's not that it's different. I think he's just a little bit more developed. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like he's
right,
more physically developed. It's just
right,
he just looks more like he's just more of a veteran. I mean, Trent Mosey in these like he a lot of it is like Makai kind of like movements and stuff like that. Like he's
right,
catching the
right,
ball all over the place. He's got a good catch radius, especially for a guy who's only 5'10". He's explosive. With him and Dixon White, like those things were pretty obvious just watching them
right.
run routes and stuff like that, which is um, good to see because I've only seen them on some of these guys on tape. So seeing it a little bit more in person, the way it translates looks good. But as far as just the chemistry and stuff like that, that's something we're really not going to know
Right.
until the fall, and then we'll figure it out from there. But again, like they have talent, they have a lot of talent,
A
and
lot of
again,
talent. Yeah.
it's young, which is fine. Because they have a lot of guys that can step in and play right away, but they do have some veteran guys. I like Zacharias Williams a lot. Terrell Anderson, we keep bringing him up. Corey Sims is an underrated guy. I don't think that we're talking enough about.
No, he's legit.
The spring, so it's a good battle to have. It's a good problem to have, and I'm excited for what they can do.
One more thing I had to ask you about the receivers from
Mm-hmm.
a physical standpoint. How
Yeah,
does I was told that Luke Weaver may be one of the bigger receivers. How does he, from a size standpoint, look compared to Corey Sims? Because I always thought Corey Sims was kind of a big receiver too.
they're kind of similar. I
They're
think they have
similar.
similar. I think they have similar measurables. I think they're both around 6'3", like 205. They
Okay.
really do kind of look
Yeah.
similar. I think Weaver may be a little bit faster, but as far as just like body type, they're pretty identical.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. One of the other things that Coach Riley talked about today was the depth, overall depth, and just having multiple guys out there. So what are your thoughts on that? And do you see that depth? Can you see it now in the ones, the twos, and the threes? Like, is it not much of a drop off now when you look at the depth compared to last year?
the depth is it's. I think they've done it. This has kind of been like a year's thing in the process, right? They're kind of stacking some of these recruiting classes, and it reflects in some of these position groups specifically. I'm looking at cornerback with Marcellus Williams is a little bit of the older guy. He's a redshirt sophomore.
Hmm.
Riley raved about him today, and I'm going to keep talking about Marcellus Williams because we are focused on some of
I
these other
think a
guys.
lot of people. I think a lot of people sleeping on him, and forgive
Yeah,
me. Hey, I'm cool with his pops, real cool with his pops.
yeah,
Forgive me if I haven't mentioned his name. I kind of got lost in the freshman sauce a little bit, just because I just start seeing his footwork and all that hill.
yeah.
But we can't sleep on Marcellus. He played last year a lot.
He did play. I mean, he started
Yeah,
11 games last year, and he's
yeah,
when you talk about player development and a guy progressing, what he was in November was vastly different than what he was in September.
right.
He continues to progress, and he's somebody that I mean, the veterans talked about him when he got there in his first spring. They raved about him in that first spring. He just didn't play because of how many
Yeah,
veterans they had in front of him. Humphrey and Jalen Smith and all those kind of guys. They just had so many veterans in front of him. He's playing good. Rock Hill, it's gonna be hard not to play him. The way that they keep talking about him, the way he's
right,
flashing, it's gonna be hard
right,
not to play
right,
him at
right.
some kind of capacity. And again, I'm still an RJ Sermon's guy a lot. He's flying a little bit under the radar. Brandon Lockhart's name got brought up today. He's a long, lengthy corner. Just he's physical. He's competitive. I love that about him. So that position in offensive line specifically too, when you talk about the depth, they obviously bring all 5 guys back on the offensive line. That doesn't necessarily mean that all 5 of those guys are going to be the starters this year because
How
they are going
likely?
to.
Let's talk about how likely. Do you think it's a real possibility, though? I mean, I know we got Brett J. I know Pepe. Is it a real
Mhm.
possibility that some of these guys can break through the starting lineup as true freshmen?
Yeah, I mean, why not? They're physically
Yeah,
developed. Like
yeah,
Pepe's 6'7", 330, and he looks every bit of it. He looks like a grown man. Same with J. They both got different kind of mind.
yeah.
I know Zach Hansen when during a spring press conference talked about a lot of the things that they did at IMG are translating seamlessly at USC. It's just really some of the verbiage is different, which is expected when you kind of go from high school to college. But as far as like some of the stuff that they did at IMG, like he's like it's very similar. And then they come in ready to go. They're obviously going to push some of these guys. Pepe could start at right tackle. That's a real possibility.
And Tobias moving to the center spot, possibly.
Tobias said, Yeah, I am curious to see if that's like a permanent move or more of a depth reason, right? Because Killian had the two separate lower body injuries, which kept him out
Right,
extended time, and
right,
obviously John Ray Reed. So they end up him and Reed end up kind of really splitting those duties because of the injuries that they end up both dealing with. So I'm wondering if that's more of a depth piece or if that's a permanent move. I know Hanson brought up like that's probably the position that Raymond might end up playing at the NFL level would be
right.
center. Kind of like I mean, it fits him. He's definitely better in the interior than he is at tackle. I'll say that he had to play a lot of left tackle last year
Right.
because of Page's injury, but he's definitely more of an interior guy. If he plays center, now it starts to make things a little bit interesting. Maybe Breck steps in there,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
there's definitely a window. I'm not going to write him in right now. Again, I think some of this will be settled a little bit more when we get to fall camp, but it's definitely a real possibility that one, maybe two, end up starting at some point of the season.
No doubt, no doubt. While we're on the offensive line, I think Coach Riley also mentioned about Coach Henson today as well, and how basically that was kind of one of those hires within that kind of worked out. Do you see and do you think it's a great possibility Skyler will be the same type of hire and have the same type of impact on this team as on the offensive line, on our defensive line now?
He could. I think it's a real thing. I think Zach Hanson was probably the most underrated coach on the staff last year.
Mm-hmm.
He did a really good job of right because we didn't know what the offense line was going to look like. Right, they lost three starters from the year before. They had brought in Wingfield, who was expected to start, but then obviously he was deemed ineligible before the season, right in fall camp. And they played good last year. The offensive line, they got better last year, even with
Yeah,
a lot of these games. After week 4, they never had the same lineup again. And he did a really good job of developing just the depth. And they were physical and all those kind of things, which has kind of been lacking in previous years. Defensive line, same thing we've been talking about receive. This is the thing about the U.S. They don't lack talent anywhere. That's the
right.
big thing about all this. It's just about developing the talent of what they have. And I think they have some rising stars on the defensive line. Start with Jakeem Stewart. Jade Abasiri is a guy that I'm still high on. He's widely regarded as maybe the strongest player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's jacked for his almost 300-pound frame. And I don't know if somebody can correct me on this, but I think he has a wrestling background, which should help. And again, he's got a lot of valuable. He started 9 games last year. He's got a lot of
Right,
experience.
right,
They got
right.
some freshmen coming in. Jamie on Tom has got some big reviews since he's been there, so he definitely can. I think it's a big thing that I know some people didn't like that it was just an in-house hire, but I think it is a big thing that he was there last year, that he does
Right.
know the players, and they kind of just build upon some of what they did last year. He should. I mean,
Yeah.
again, the talent is there. They should be able to kind of do the same thing, and there's no reason why the interior defensive line shouldn't be kind of one of their strengths, especially on defense next year.
No doubt, no doubt. So these guys are coming off of spring break. Did you
Mhm.
notice? Did you? I mean, was the we talked about last week. The energy was crazy. These guys were
Yeah.
going all over the place. Did you feel that same type of energy, or was it maybe a little bit somewhat of a drop off coming back from the spring today? I mean, what do you think?
No, I would say it's kind of the same again. Like as media, we're only watching stretching an individual, but as far as like what I saw, like it wasn't anything different. I know they worked out yesterday with Coach True. I know Coach Riley talked about that yesterday, so I mean they can kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
So it wasn't like they're kind of their first action a little bit. I know they kind of popped some pads a little bit in the beginning of practice. It was kind of like in a far end of the field, but I'm not 100% sure what the drill is, but they were popping the little pads to kind of get
yeah,
guys a little bit ramped up. But as far as like energy, it didn't seem any different. Eisen talked about it. Riley talked about it. They felt that they hit the ground running today. It wasn't like it was kind of. I think the spring break was kind of a little bit of a luxury from the standpoint of they really grinded them those first 2 weeks. They had a lot of back-to-back practices, especially in those
right.
first 2 weeks. So having a week off kind of was beneficial for them a little bit. Just from an accountability standpoint, from just a talent standpoint, energy standpoint, it was the same. They just kind of hit the ground running. It's just I didn't. Yeah, for me personally, I didn't see any drop off. Again, like it's just a limited practice capacity, but the feedback that we got today was really good on just how they hit the ground running today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So look, everybody, look, we got only about 30 minutes today. We got to get out of here. We got to cut it short today, only because because of me. I'm lost in the work sauce myself. But we want to appreciate Kendell for coming in. So we're gonna take some calls. I'm getting ready. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Kendall's Twitter handle here inside the chat. I want all you guys. Kendell puts up videos. He puts all kinds of information throughout the day, after practice, all of that. I'm gonna open up the chat for you guys who want to come in and make comments real quick. You're more than welcome to. Let me put that Twitter handle in here real quick. That way they can have it and they can find you because you put out some phenomenal information. You guys will see
Appreciate
it in the
it.
chat right there. It is right there. So it should be in there right now. It should be coming up. So you guys have got any questions? I'm gonna take the first caller that in here and that's his Twitter handle right there. So you guys click on that link and you guys can follow. Absolutely. Salute to you. Let me take the first caller. Conrad.
Hello.
Man. Man, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
You had a good spring break. Well, you might have not been on spring break. Everybody else was on spring break. Were you on spring break last week?
No.
Okay. What do you have for us? How you doing today?
I have a question for Kendell about Sean Scott.
What's up?
Do you think he'll play linebacker or edge rusher?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the question, right? Because he was primarily an edge rusher at Mater Dei. He was a really good job of just getting after the quarterback. I think he was a second team Max Preps all selection as a defensive lineman. But he's coming here to play linebacker. He'll be an off-ball linebacker again. Like he can be versatile for him. Like you can kind of move him around a little bit because of his skill set. But he is a guy that's going to end up playing off-ball linebacker for them.
How about Mark Bowman? Does he remind you of Brock Bowers?
He does. He really does. I think they're pretty identical as far as measurables and stuff like that. And I think just like seeing their movements when I saw Bowman a little bit. I think he was a sophomore when he was at Mater Dei. So this was like the first time I've seen him in a couple of years. So obviously he's a little bit bigger, especially in the lower body, but he does move like Bowman. I mean, like Bowers. They are identical. I think the big thing for Bowman is continuing to develop as a blocker. And again, the same thing as we talked about earlier, just building rapport with Jaden. Because Bowman's going to be a day one starter for a skill standpoint, from a money standpoint, from all those kind of things. He's going to be a day one starter for them. And I don't think he'll have necessarily the season that Bowers had when he was at Georgia. I don't know if people remember that and how good it really was. I don't think he'll be at quite that level, but as far as like the movements and seeing them, they are very, very similar.
How about Luke Waitful and Sean Scott? Do you think they'll be a dynamic duo?
I do. Waitful's a grown man. That's a 27-year-old, 10-year.
He looks crazy.
Like it's insane. He's an instant impact player. Right. He's like a Bolsa mold essentially. He's like the guys that they've had at Ohio State kind of these past couple of years that they've been kind of missing at USC. He's developed. I've heard just at him, just the word alpha always comes up for him, just the way that he moves, the way he practices and all that kind of stuff. He'll be in there day one. Sean Scott, I don't know how much he'll play necessarily at linebacker as a freshman. Eventually he'll kind of, I think eventually he'll get to that spot, but he can definitely be a special teams guy for them this year. He's a physical hitter. He's a good athlete. He does all those kind of things, and somebody that you want from a tenacity standpoint, from a physical to be on the field for you.
All right, my man. So I got to take some other calls. I appreciate you. Okay?
Bye.
All right, man. Hey, fight on.
Bye.
All right. Infinite Mula, how you doing?
What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing, man?
How you doing?
Oh, man, everything is everything.
What you got for us?
I want to ask Kendell, what you think about the back end of the defense? What's your expectation on who's going to play where?
Yeah, so if I had at cornerback, it's hard for me to pencil in some guys right now because I think they have a lot of options, right? Obviously, Johnson Williams is the number one transfer corner. I expect him to be in there. Jason Johnson's kind of a little bit underrated because he hasn't been around a little bit, right? He got hurt early last year. I think the fact that they brought him back speaks highly of him, of the program and what they think of him and what he can do for them this year. Obviously, Marcellus Williams started 11 games last year. Rock Hill, they just keep bringing him up over and over again. He's got quick feet. He's got ball skills. He can do all those kind of things. Same thing with RJ Sermon. So they got a lot of options at corner. I'm going to kind of hold off on my predictions a little bit on who I think starts. I would like to see just a little bit more than obviously more information in fall camp. But they have some options. That's the good thing right now. That's kind of something that they didn't have last year. At safety is really, really interesting right now, right? Because they obviously lost Fitzgerald and Kamari. Christian Pierce started for them 9 games last year, but Christian Pierce is hurt right now, which I think is I think that one's a big deal from the standpoint that he's supposed to be their leader in the secondary next year. He kind of showed that at the end of last year. I think he's losing a little bit of valuable with Gonzalez and Patterson, but I did see him working. He's recovering on the side, but I did see him working with Patterson a little bit at the beginning of practice. Not doing a lot. Again, he's still recovering, but he was working a bit, and expect Kennedy Urlacher to start alongside of him. They're trying to create a lot of depth right now. That's the big thing for them right now. Again, from not adding anybody in the transfer portal, for not being particularly active in recruiting on who they brought in. So obviously Tristan Castro's a guy who played corner. They recruited him to play corner. He's playing more safety. Prophet Brown is playing a little bit more safety. D. Riddick is also playing a little bit more safety. Him and Brown are 2 guys that primarily play nickel.
Those are a couple guys I wanted to ask you about. Tristan Castro and D. Riddick. How are those guys looking? D. Riddick is man, that he got some serious talent. Like, what do you think realistically those guys could do as far as breaking into the starting lineup?
I don't think that they start necessarily, but you want around 3 to 4 safeties, right? Because that's typically what they've been playing this past couple of years. That's just you look at any defense in general, you would typically like 3, if not 4 guys from just a health standpoint, from a energy standpoint, to have just options and stuff like that. So I think just getting them up to speed, you could tell Castro's still trying to learn safety a little bit. He's obviously a good athlete. He's got good ball skills. He's got a receiver background, all those kind of things. So he's just trying to learn it a little bit. Prophet Brown, obviously, he's played almost 40 games in his USC career. So obviously I'm not concerned about that point. D. Riddick is a name that keeps getting brought up a lot. I think highly of guys that step in and are primarily special teams guys as freshmen, because this is the biggest difference. I think I'll lay this out for difference between the Division II level and the Division I level, and I guess high school and the FBS level, is that guys love playing special teams. That those spots that I learned myself they're not given in any standpoint. A lot of times, like high school guys would be like, "Oh yeah, you can have my reps on kickoff or kickoff return." Not at the FBS levels. Those spots are highly, highly competitive. And the fact that Sims had one and had the whole season, and same thing with Riddick. So I think highly of those kind of guys, and I've heard good things about him so far.
No doubt. Infinite Moolah, any other questions?
Yeah. So what about the guy Alex Graham? Do you see him starting at more of nickel, or I heard something about him playing safety as well?
He can do both, right? I think he's going to start at nickel. He's probably their best defender in the secondary, if I'm being honest right now.
Oh yeah.
That's how highly I think of him and his transformation this spring. I don't know if people have heard me talk about it and stuff like that, but he's noticeably bigger, especially in the upper body this spring. So I mean, that just shows his commitment to the weight room and getting better. And obviously he's a high football IQ guy. He can bounce around to safety. He did that a little bit in the bowl game, right? If people remember, he came in, he came back to safety a little bit, and Reddick stepped in at nickel. So if they need the option of moving guys around, they have versatile guys, whether it's Brown, Reddick, or Graham. But Graham is going to start at nickel for them.
So what about Ruben? Would you put him in there more at the nickel or more at the safety?
At nickel, I think he's primarily going to be Graham's backup this year. Right.
But we got a lot of talent in that backfield, man. I'm excited to see this no-fly zone, man.
Absolutely. Anything else, my man?
Yeah, man. Kendall, man, work on getting my guy Jay some credentials, man. So
man,
get out there, man.
We gonna get you on one day. It's not up to me. We gonna get you on one day.
Trust me, it ain't up to Kendall, man. But it's all good, man. Hey, shout out to Kendall though. Kendall does a phenomenal. I saw him up there today, man, standing right next to Lincoln, man. Kendall does a phenomenal job, man. We gotta give it up to him though. Hey, I appreciate you though, family.
Yeah, fight on, y'all.
All right, fight
Appreciate
on,
it.
man. You got to be my last call too. I got to get out of here. Hey, but Kendell, man, we appreciate everybody for coming in, man. Thank Kendell. Oh, let me. Any chance, Marquise? Yeah, I love
Oh,
Marquise, man.
I'm forgetting
Yeah,
about him. He's
yeah,
a little bit hampered this spring.
yeah,
Not gonna fully go into some of his stuff.
yeah. You don't
I know
have
some of
to.
it's not out. I know some of it's not out there.
Yeah,
I love Marquise as a player. He's
absolutely.
as far as like guys that played those like the beginning of the season that got time at the end of the games. He was my favorite to watch. He flies around the field. He plays he knows one speed. It's 100 miles an hour. He sees ball, he gets ball. He does all that kind of things. I think he's a strong candidate to be as far as like the rotation guys, maybe that third or fourth safety. So I think he can have that kind of role.
Absolutely, absolutely. So look, I apologize because I have to cut it short. Next week we get Kendell in here. We'll try to do the whole hour, get more call-ins, but I got to cut it short. And it's only 30 minutes. But appreciate Kendell for taking out the time, man. He always comes with some incredible information, feedback, all that good stuff, man. So we appreciate Kendell. Kendell, anything you want to leave with us, man, before we get out of here?
Always appreciate you letting me come on, man. You're the legend, man. Everybody knows USCJ around the parks, man. It's always a blessing to come out and talk with you, man. Yeah, if you want to find any of my stuff, I'm on Twitter at @khowell_. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. All that stuff is around there. Videos, articles, latest recruiting updates, practice updates. So if you want any of that kind of stuff, go check me out.
Absolutely. Anything Kendell does, man. I retweet some of his stuff already, but I'm gonna probably show you guys some of his stuff in my videos because I want you guys to be able to go show and subscribe to him, man. Subscribe and like everything he does. He does a phenomenal work. And you see, man, I didn't even have to do much. Kendall's letting it go, man. Hey, it's not too many people that really like this dude really knows about this team. So I really hold on. He says, what's your link? Hold on. I'm going to put the Twitter link real quick. I'm going to put it while we up. And you should be able to click on this from see, you got to go to YouTube, man. Actually, hey, look, because I think that's a Twitter post. Here comes that USC fan. If you look on my USC post, I retweeted something that he put out today. If you go to my page, look at a retweet that I have, maybe one or two retweets down, and you can click on his page and follow him on Twitter because I see you on Twitter right there.
I'm around. Oh, yeah. Also, just for everybody, I know my name is spelled a little bit different. My name it's ELL at the end. Just putting that out there for people, not overreacting. I'm just saying, obviously, it's a different kind of spelling. But that's my name. That's important to me. So I just want to put that out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. So, and we appreciate that. So fight on, everybody. So make sure you go ahead and do that, man. Look on my Twitter page and you'll see the X page and you'll see his, and just go ahead and retweet that. Well, hit his follow. So look, I'm out of here, man. Until later on. Listen, everybody stay blessed, man. Fight on, fight on, fight on.